Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers reimagines family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Working one-on-one, Duke's designers honor the original story while creating something fresh and modern. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com, where old stories become new treasures.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, kicking off your 1 o'clock hour, new sheriff in town at Utah State University, Ben Jacobson, replacing Jared Calhoun as the new coach. Joining us now, the athletic director who pulled the trigger on it and went through the entire process, Cameron Walker, kind enough to join us. Cam, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm better today.
Yes.
I'm better today, Scotty.
Than last week at this time. All right.
Yes.
So you told me that you weren't going to disclose the timeline, but you said there was a timeline. Did you meet your deadline?
I did. It was tomorrow.
Nice.
I got it.
You got it. Hey, I know urgency was important. Let's get to the root of it. What was it about Ben Jacobson that elevated him over other candidates?
Yeah, when you look at what he's accomplished and what he's done in his career, I think it was hard for us to picture getting where we want to go without someone that's been there before. And I think his accomplishments, his resume, and then you add to it, every person you talk to says exceptional coach, even better human being. It just kind of snowballed. And when you get in a room with him, I remember talking to another coach, but I got in a room with him and said, he's not telling you what you want to hear. He's telling you exactly what he believes. And Greg McDermott and I even had this conversation. I said, I'm not sure he's capable of telling me what I want to hear. And he said, he's not. He's just a straight shooter. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. And then, honestly, our vision, without me even expressing my vision, his vision for what he thought Utah State athletics could be and should be was exactly what we've been saying. And when those match up and you get a great human being to do the work with, sky's the limit, and we're super excited.
What is that vision that the two of you share?
I think it's about elevating the program. The second weekend's a big part of it. And also chasing down in the new Pac-12 the leaders, and those that'll have more resources. Certainly Gonzaga has done a tremendous job. And, in league meetings, I've been conscientious to say, we don't want to pull Gonzaga back to the rest of us. We want to elevate our program so that we're at their level, not try and pull them back. And I think that's what we want to do. They've got a tremendous model, so it's only out of respect for what they've done, but we want to catch them. We want to be a program like that. And in order to do that, I think we need, like I said, someone who's been there, but also some sustainability. I think it's just difficult if we go through this 1 to 2 year cycle to really build the momentum we need. We can be competitive. We can make the tournament every year, but it's hard to have that next level of success.
So I think that's interesting because that's the paradigm has shifted a little bit in terms of surviving at Utah State and now excelling at Utah State, because it's felt like for so many years a coach leaves and then it was like, okay, let's just find somebody to kind of hold on and keep it where we're at. You're looking at it like, okay, we've done this. Now it's time to elevate to this.
Absolutely. And, when I look at coaches that are where we want to be, Sweet 16, Elite Eights, And the coaches, as I looked around at the coaches in the Sweet 16, they're very experienced coaches. They've done a lot. They've got long resumes. They've been there, and they've got some battle scars. And Coach Jacobson has those. But we're not satisfied being an NCAA tournament team or an NCAA tournament participant. We want to chase it. And if you're not getting better and you're not trying to improve, it makes it, I don't know. That's what gets me up in the morning, and I can tell that's what gets Coach Jacobson up in the morning, and I think that's why he's a great fit.
To pry a guy away from a university where he's been at for over 2 decades and has had tremendous success, that's not easy to do. What was it about Utah State that made him decide? Because he's had opportunities in the past, but made him finally decide, okay, this is the program I want to leave to.
Yeah, he has had plenty of opportunities in the past. He's turned down some big time Power 4 jobs, and I think it was our alignment and vision. I think it was how we're resourcing this program. And it was his belief in us that he can chase those championships. I mean, he's not trying to make it back to the Sweet 16. He's got bigger thoughts than that. There's some scars that he has from just missing out on that next level, and he wants to get there. And he feels like this is a place where he can do it and really chase that success. And then certainly we wanted to convince him, and there's a lot of things positive here from the momentum of the school, the alignment between our board and our president and me. And I think those things were all enticing.
Cameron Walker, athletic director at Utah State, on the job for less than 6 months, and you got to make probably one of the most important hires in athletic department history. Yeah. No pressure there.
It comes at you quick. Yeah, no pressure. That's Stu Morrill and I talked, and that's basically what he said to me. We talked last week. I believe in getting that visit with the student athletes, got their thoughts, called Stu, and Stu's advice was simple: don't screw it up. That's obviously what we're trying to do, but it's a pressure thing, and you feel the weight of it, and you want to get it right, and you want everybody to embrace it. But at the same time, getting it right for these student athletes is even more important than the rest of it. And so as we sat down with all of our candidates, you're really viewing it from the lens of, will these guys, will Mason Falsub, will Carson Templin, will Jordy Barnes, all of them, right? Will they like this coach? Can I see them relating? How would they respond to this? And you try and view it for that lens and get the best coach for your student athletes, because they're going to spend a lot of time together.
It's interesting you bring that up, because when you're hiring, maybe 15 years ago, or even frankly, probably 5 years ago, when you hire a coach, you're thinking, okay, who's the best coach for my program? But then but now it's an element of, well, who are they going to bring with them? How are they in fundraising? How are our current players going to relate to them? There's so many other little things that come into play now because of NIL and free transfers and all those other things. How hard is it to kind of clear through all of that? Or I guess how much importance do you put on that as opposed to, can the guy just flat out coach?
Yeah, I think for me, it's twofold. And because there's so many elements, I think it's helped me zero in the last few years as I've been a part of hires on what's the most important thing. And to me, it's, will the student athletes have an unbelievable experience with the individual? Will he make them better? Will he make in this case, can he make them men and chase championships? And then can he flat out coach? And it's hard to check both those boxes. But this guy checks both those boxes. And I think it's just important as you go through that. There is so many things, but you have to keep the most important things, the main thing, in the top of your priority.
Cameron Walker, athletic director at Utah State, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What has been the conversations throughout the process? You mentioned that you met with the team as soon as Jared Calhoun made it official. He was on to Cincinnati. But What have those continued conversations been like? And has Coach Jacobson had a chance to chat with those guys yet?
Yeah, so Coach Jacobson had a chance to get with the guys on Zoom. I'm sure he's making some calls. We're also setting up some meetings and some stuff tomorrow after the press conference with them. And then really I've stayed in touch with 2 or 3 of them as much as they want to. A bunch of them have texted me and called me throughout the process just to stay connected. And I update them and I tell them exactly where we're at. And I don't talk candidate names with them because I don't think that's fair to put them in that spot. But I talked to them about the attributes and the interest and the type of candidates that we're looking at and quality of them. And I think that's been important through the process to just stay connected with them, again, as much as they want to be. Some of them haven't wanted to, and they're like, I need some space right now to do some thinking. And that's great too. It's at whatever level they want to engage. But certainly some of them have engaged heavily, and it's certainly been on our mind as we've gone through this process.
There's a lot of conversations and Freedom of Information Acts in terms of contracts and things like that. There is a buyout courtesy of Jared Calhoun that would provide a bit of influx of resources available to you. How do you go about earmarking those? And is that a conversation with Ben in terms of NIL, or is that with Dalton on staff, or how do you determine how to immediately address the transfer portal, which will begin here in a couple of days?
Yeah, and that timing was important. Why to get this done this week? We're a week, basically next Tuesday, that portal opens up. Obviously, I've said time and time again, talent acquisition and retention is the most important thing. And in this case, twofold, on the coaching staff and head coach, as well as on the player side. So certainly, we obviously probably not going to throw all that in 1 year, space it out a little bit, but we will use that money certainly in that space to elevate this program.
So when you look at Ben Jacobson and how he's adapted to this new world, there's a lot of, and I don't want to call it, there's a lot of grizzled veterans, I guess we should say, that have been around the league or been around college basketball and college athletics for a long time that have had a hard time adapting to this new world. How do you feel like he has done in that area?
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
I think he's done really well. And given the resources he's had and kind of hand he had, I think it's been incredible. He was there's been some complaints here about, our resources and how much we have and things of that nature. And certainly we're trying to build that and increase that as much as we can. I think this next year will, obviously be at a very competitive level. But for that cards he kind of had in his hand, I think he's played that really, really well. They're either their leading scorer or second leading scorer this past year was a transfer kid. He's done well getting the right kids and making sure that those are the right fit too. And I think that's important. And we've seen that. I thought Coach Calhoun did a terrific job with that as well, going to the portal for some of those needs and getting the right kid that can help you on the court, but also the right fit. And I think Ben understands both those and has been highly successful at doing that at Northern Iowa. All
right, so I'm going to steal a line from the first line you're going to issue tomorrow at your press conference, because every AD says it, but sometimes it's true and sometimes it may not be true. How impressed were you with the level of candidates that wanted this job?
Very impressed. So yeah, I'll try and state it more eloquently than that tomorrow. But the pool was incredibly deep. It was tons and tons of interest. We have a lot of people that candidly could do this job. There were a lot of people that you could envision being successful. That's great news. On the search side, it makes it very difficult to then say, okay, but who would be the very best? But I mean, high level of coaches that have accomplished a lot of things, whether it's, Final Fours, whether it's, assistant coaches at Final Fours, lots of high level stuff that they've accomplished and done, and throughout the entire country. I think it speaks to that we were able to land somebody with a resume and as accomplished as Coach Jacobson, that this program has elevated. It's not the same program that we used to, and we can get people that are very established head coaches to be very interested in positions at Utah State.
I had a assistant coach that I've known for a long time at a P4 school reach out and said, I don't think I can get a sniff at this thing. And he goes, if I were at where I was at 6-7 years ago, I think I would have had a really good chance. But now, I really don't think I've got any kind of chance whatsoever, just based on the quality of people that I know are going after this gig. When you cast a net, were there tangible, specific things that you wanted to see, like head coaches, current head coaches, like initial, amount of 20+ wins? Was there a number, tangible numbers that you wanted to see in regards to whoever you're going to go after? Or was it just, let's go see what's out there?
I try and stay pretty open-minded early on. But then you kind of narrow as you go through the process, as you kind of see what's there. And you're able to get a few people into the pool that are really good. And now you kind of have a baseline of well, they got to measure up to this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Ben was I'm talking to people. I know he's in the pool. It's well, that guy's fantastic, but he's not Ben Jacobson. Right. And so you're able to just kind of keep plugging through that. And after a while, you're well, it kind of sounds like we just need to go with this guy. And I think that was kind of the case here, but we were open to the idea that it could be a lead assistant at a Power 4. It could be a thing, but as we got through this, as we got through the list of qualities the team gave us, it just became apparent that that head coach experience was probably going to be really important, and that, somebody with the character like Coach Jacobson's known for was going to be a really, really good fit. His toughness, his discipline, his style of play all mesh really well with our guys. And you throw in how successful he's been at a place with, a fraction of our resources. It's exciting to see what he'll do once he gets here.
Have you heard from the head coach of Colorado State in terms of your hire?
I've not heard from him yet. But they know each other very well.
Oh, yeah. That was the guy that hit the shot when Northern Iowa went to the Sweet 16 with their win over Kansas in the NCAA tournament. And that's the thing. That's what's been really cool about watching this is, the success that he's been around and what he's been able to establish. Is there any conversation? And when I say this, I don't have any ulterior motives because, frankly, look, I'm on my, I think I told you last week that I've been doing this job for 10 years as the play-by-play guy. This will be my 6th basketball coach. And frankly, as long as they're all good dudes and they're easy to interview and they go to the NCAA tournaments, I don't care about the turnstile. But was that something that was on your mind at all in the interview process? Something that where you wanted to say, hey, you know what? We really want a guy that could put some roots down.
Yeah, certainly. Because I think if you look at who's in the Sweet 16, right? Getting to that next level, that most of those, if not all of them this year, are established and been there a while. And I think there's something about being able to take a team like we had this and retool it just a little bit and run it back. And I think there's something from a perception from the committee. I think that's how you get higher seeds, is putting together back-to-back good years, 3, 4, and they really value winning in the tournament. And so when you can win a game like we did this year, and then next year come back and do it, you've got a shot. And there's, again, those scars that come with that. I do think that to get where we want to go, we've got to have some level of continuity. To do what we've done, it probably works to run it back, bring in a new, the next successful young coach that's an up-and-comer. That probably works. But if they're gone in 2 years, we're having the same conversation, and we've been to 2 tournaments maybe, or made 1 tournament, but we're not progressing the program the way we need to. And so certainly that was an element here.
It's interesting, and ironically enough, it was Jared Calhoun who told me this, that sometimes coaching fatigue can impact fundraising, in which somebody out there that you need to try to get some funds from is like, well, I don't know who I'm going to be working with every year, and I don't really want to commit because I just can't really develop a relationship with a coach. And have you noticed that as being a bit of a problem?
Yeah, I think that's real. I think fortunately, the donors that I've spoken to, both pre this and post this, have reiterated our commitments to Utah State in this program. We are locked in on this program. So I'm incredibly grateful to those for their enduring. But I do think it helps when they have certainty. They're investing, right? They're investors. They're shareholders. They're sharing in this vision and investing their hard-earned money to help us accomplish the vision that we're trying to attack. And when that vision's changing every couple of years, that's really difficult to grab hold of and to really sink your teeth into. And so I do think that it helps when there's a sustained approach, both in the success, but also in the generation of funds to support that cause.
Cameron Walker right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I know you probably have anybody, you can't fill up a tank of gas at Maverick or go to the grocery store without somebody saying, hey, have you seen this coach? Hey, do you know anything about this coach? You probably even had media schlubs that were texting you ideas on who you could go after. So with all of that, how do you drown out that noise? Because you want input, you want insight, and some of it could probably be good, and some of it's like you just toss it away. But ultimately know that it's your hire and your name's attached to it. How difficult is it to kind of crowd out the noise a bit?
It can be hard, yeah. And there's lots of ideas and lots of things, and you have to let people know that it's not a disrespect thing. It's not it's not anything other than how seriously you take this responsibility and your conversations that you personally have with the student athletes and with the key constituents, and knowing, okay, I hope I have a bigger picture than those that are at Maverick filling up their gas with me. And because I know some things they don't know, that they're well-intended. The worst thing's apathy. No one cares who I'm hiring. That's terrible. But so the interest is great. And early on, I welcome it. I welcome it. I try and get as much data and as much input as points. But there becomes a point in a search where you kind of have to lock down. I kind of have to lock myself in a place and lock the team up and say, all right, let's put everything away. Let's go to work. And we got to find the best person, because these student athletes really matter, and Utah State basketball really matters. And as much as people will agree or disagree or anything with a hire, like, that responsibility to get it right weighs heavy. And you have to kind of set aside feelings or people pleasing to get it done. But it's hard, because a lot of those people are truly care about the program as much as you do. But you just try and all you can do is do your very best job and lock in. But there comes a point where you have to kind of, okay, I've collected enough data and enough opinions. I got to lock in.
All right, before I let you go, I know I keep you way too long. I apologize. But social media sometimes gets buzzing, and I don't know how much you are on social media in this process, but all of a sudden a name will get thrown out, and then it just starts snowballing, and then pretty soon it's all but done that this will be the next head coach at your university. I was seeing stuff kick up last night. I looked over at my wife and I said, I bet he's having some fun with this because the names that were being thrown out weren't the ones he ultimately got going. So what's that like when all of a sudden your phone starts blowing up and people are like, hey, is this the guy? And you're like, no, it's not the guy. Like, how's that from your perspective?
It's interesting, and it's kind of a balance. It certainly was interesting. I don't know how those get started. And some of it, like sometimes sometimes you're like, oh, we talked, or oh, that, yeah, I get how that got going. Some of these this time I had no idea how they got started. There were certainly some that were rumored that we never talked to. And again, nothing against them. Tremendous coaches. They probably would have been great in the search, but like that's not where the search went, and that's not who we talked to. But it definitely is interesting. And I'm not sure I've seen them where they got as far along. Normally they get shot down sooner, but yeah, I almost made a hire I wasn't aware of.
Well, hey, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for joining us. Look forward. We'll be up there tomorrow at 9 a.m., and we'll carry the press conference live here on The Zone. But congratulations. I know it may have been a quick hire, but certainly it wasn't a less work-intensive hire. So we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Awesome. No, I look forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow, Scotty.
You got it. There he is, Cameron Walker, athletic director at Utah State.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.